Hey, coming to the show now, UFC flyweight champion of the world, Demetrious Johnson.
Hello?
DJ, Ski, how are you?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing, Ski?
Real good, man. Nice having you on the line with us.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me on.
How's life for one of the only 8 UFC champs in the world?
Life's good, man. Had a great AM session with, Tim Boach and Matt Hume, and got some food, and now I'm just back up at the gym, relaxing, waiting for the next session. But other than that, just day in, day out grind and spending time with my wife and just enjoying life.
You know what? If you take one thing nice about martial arts, especially back when I go back, there was dojos. And we studied different styles that way versus nowadays it's more the MMA style and people come and they learn everything, which I like that. But traditionally in martial arts, it's a very humble sport. It's a very humble art. With that said, out of all your career, there's all kinds of belt holders at different levels. You've been there. You've been in all those other shows. But to be a UFC, UFC is the NFL of MMA. What's it really feel like to be one of only 8 guys in the world?
It feels good. I'm such a humble guy, and I'm very honored that the UFC gave me the opportunity to fight in the flyweight division tournament. If it was for those guys choosing me, I wouldn't be in the position I am now. And to be amongst the great champions of UFC, people go their whole life fighting UFC, never become a champion. And I'm just honored to, have great coaching, Matt Hume, Trevor Jackson, Brad Kirkton, and all my fans behind me. And, it means the world to me. And I can't wait to get back in the octagon and put on more great shows for the UFC.
Well, and can't wait means January 26th on Fox 6 in Chicago against Dodson. What's your thoughts on that, and when will camp start if it hasn't already?
My thoughts on it is it's going to be a great fight. I'm looking forward to it. I'm just really looking forward to getting back in there, fighting, regardless if it was Dodson or if it was Joseph Benavidez again. I just love to compete. And camp has already started. I never stop training. I don't dedicate my camp solely just to the person I'm about to fight. I keep on learning and keep the evolution of my game developing because my opponents are always going to change. So I don't want to keep on changing and get ready for this specific person. I want to keep, my body growing. I want to keep on with my mind growing and learning as much stuff as I can because I'm still young. I'm only 26 years old, and there's so much to learn, especially when you have somebody like Matt Hume, who's in your corner and, your teacher.
When you talk Matt the Wizard Hume, I think he's one of the secrets of MMA, and I don't mean within you. And I actually went to his gym years ago. I wound up a guy that used to fight with him in Pancration named Todd Bjornsson, and I used to train together, and we had our own school over in Kirkland. But I used to go there, and I really admire him. But where you hit some of the other coaches that are more flamboyant or out there, the fans may be aware of, I think within it, I try to tell everybody, I'm always tooting his horn when anybody wants to talk about coaches.
Yeah, absolutely. Matt Hume is one of those coaches that, he doesn't just sit back and have you do everything. He actually gets in there and, spars, grapple with me. And I remember last week he came to the gym and he goes, "So, how fast do you think you'll tap out?" And I was like, please. Me and him just playing jokes. And he goes, "Oh, how fast?" I was like, "Well, how long do you think it's going to take you to tap me out?" And he goes, "Not very long at all." And then I went, "Let's get after it." And he he started attacking me, and we're grappling, and he made me tap out twice. And I was like, "Man, it's never going to change." And he just started laughing. So Matt Hume's that coach who gets in there and does it. And I had nothing but respect for him that he does that.
Do you watch any of his old video when he was fighting?
Oh yeah.
Those were some pretty tough fights back then. Some of that Pancration stuff they were doing.
Absolutely. I think the generation back then was more. It wasn't about the fame. It wasn't about the money or none of that stuff. It was about true martial arts where those guys would get in there and they'll fight. Matt told me that. Back in the day, we'd just get in there and fight and they test the art of fighting. And totally different generation now. So.
Take us back where it started, where you're from, when you went through school, if you played other sports, if you were a wrestler, things like that.
Yeah, I was born in Kentucky, and my mom, she's married to a whole bunch of different military men, and so I traveled around with the military and all that stuff, and we ended up landing in Washington State, and I grew up in Parkland, Washington, which is a suburb town on the outskirts of Tacoma, and I went to Washington High School, and I was a multiple sports kind of kid. I did track, football, cross country, wrestling, and I found my calling in wrestling. And when I wasn't wrestling, I was either running long distance, whether it was a 2 mile or 1 mile or 3 miles to get my cardio up, and that's where I think it transferred over to mixed martial arts. And after I got out of high school, I went to college and did college for 2 years. And I was like, this isn't for me. And I was also working full time when I was going to college and training. And when I started training, I was in college, and I was like, I'm gonna go try this. I saw the Ultimate Fighter, saw Rashad Evans hitting the bag. He was killing it, and I was like, I'm gonna go try this. And then, I went to the gym, started punching the bag, and one thing led to another. And I did this sport for a hobby because I was full time worker and a student, and this was almost like my outlet. And just so happened to be, I was good with it, and I got connected to the right people, and here I am now today.
Did you start, when you started, did you eventually migrate over to AMC with Matt, or is that where you were right from jump?
It was kind of like both. It was right where I was with the jump. I was at one of their satellite schools, which was down in Auburn, and I trained at Vision Quest, and my first instructors were Steve Skids and Luke Wolf, and I trained with them for a while. Then I would fight on Match Genesis cards, and Matt would just sit there like Shao Kahn and just watch me fight. And he wouldn't speak to me or anything. And then I kept on, showing everybody that, I'm here for the long haul. I'm going to keep on fighting and training, and I'm going to keep on working full time. And then it's soon when, I got signed with the WC, I kept on fighting. And then after a while, once I quit my full-time job, that's when I started to make the full commitment to training underneath Matt full time.
When you're in WEC, what was the weight class there that you were competing at?
135 bantamweight.
So when you say thanks to the UFC for creating the flyweight, I mean that had to be a blessing in disguise to get you more in your wheelhouse.
Yeah, what I meant by thanking UFC for making the division, by thanking them for choosing me to be one of the competitors in the flyweight tournament, because they only chose 4 guys. And they could have chose any other guys. They chose me, Joseph, Yashihiro, and Ian McCall. So I appreciate them doing that. At 135, my mindset was still on 135-pound title, even though I lost to Dominic Cruz. And we already signed a contract to fight Eddie Wineland in Chicago and getting after that. So, but yeah, that's what my mindset was until, they offered me the 125. I was like, yeah, sure, let's give it a try.
And now you're shining.
Yeah, now I'm shining. Now I got gold around my waist, and
you got gold.
I continue to work hard and just do my best and show my work to the UFC.
What's that song out now? Shine Like a Diamond or something like that?
Oh, Rihanna's Shine Like a Diamond.
Yeah, there you go. You'd be shining. Now, and in particular, the one thing unique about the sport, I tell everybody all the time, other sports have off seasons. There really is no off season within MMA because you never know when you're going to get the call. Somebody falls off a card. When you're the champ, I think it's a little different. You can kind of control a little better when you're a guy trying to get your way up to there because you got to answer the call whenever. But still, when you talk, it's still a little different for you when you said you kind of pretty much train all the time versus having a camp.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, when obviously the call gets made and the contracts are signed and all that good stuff, a camp kind of starts and it kind of doesn't because, when you're, 12 weeks out right now that I am, you got to have a lot of things, in your camp that help you stay focused and not overtrain. And, one of the things I use is Bioforce, and I train End-Zone Athletics in that Hume. And the reason I like to train the whole time is so I can, keep on evolving myself as a mixed martial artist as a whole instead of, I'm fighting John Dodson. Okay, well, what do we need to do to beat John Dodson? I don't think like that. I just think, I make sure I'm healthy. I don't get injured. I keep on developing as a martial artist. And then when it comes close to the fight time, then, we'll focus more on, the task at hand. But, that's my mindset now. Before, when I was at 35, when I got to fight, I'll be like, I got to fight. Okay, what does this guy do? Okay, I can't do this. And I just focus on it 8 weeks total. And, when I fought Joseph, I didn't even think about him. Then, I knew I was going to fight him, but I didn't think about him. I just worked on my weaknesses and what I need to get better at, and it seemed to pay off.
I've been around a lot of fighters from when I competed years ago and through the show and different things I do. There's always seems to be two sides of it. One guys that really methodically go after who they're going to be against, want to learn them inside out. Other guys, like you're saying, are more, hey, I'm just going to be the best I can be and control the fight myself without worrying about my opponent. I tend to like the second way, like you're talking like you do.
Yeah, one of the persons that I kind of, took that pill and swallowed it was from Haru when I went to Hawaii to train. It was for my second Ian McCall fight, and he goes, it doesn't matter who you fight. You can watch tape on somebody and you can see what they're going to do or whatever, but it's not going to be the same person because everybody reacts different to everything. Like, it's almost like a chemistry project, when you test different types of chemicals, it's going to have a different reaction to every single exposure it's being exposed to, and that's the same thing as fighting, I can look at John Dotson's videotape and like, oh, this is what he does against this type of person. This type of person has this type of body type. He's this fast or he's this whatever. So, but Haru was like, first round you do your thing, second round you test the system, the third round you execute and you finish. And that's what he told me. He goes, you never want to go off tape because things could change when you get in the ring. And if you're solely focused on a game plan and it goes out the window, you're like, oh, we're screwed.
Well, and I think that's a great point because the truth is that person now is studying for you and your tendencies, so they could be a different type fighter, not completely, but they're going to be different anyways than who they fought prior to you.
Exactly.
With Dodson, so even though we're not breaking him down as far as his style, he himself, as far as his personality, what's your thoughts there?
His personality, he's a human being, and he doesn't do anything wrong. He doesn't break the law, and, I have nothing wrong with him.
Okay. But you know what I mean. You guys always cheesing, got that smile on the show. People didn't know how to take him. And so I didn't know if you had any inside thoughts on that. When you get to a fight, across the board, everybody says you don't fight angry. You don't make it personal like that because it changes your game up. But I think sometimes it helps a little bit if there's something about a person that can motivate you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm one of those type of people that, have anything against none of my opponents. Joseph Benavidez is probably one of the opponents that I actually truly like as a person. And, we hung out before on PR stuff. Other than that, when I fought Ian, Dominic, I like Dominic as well. But Ian, all the other guys, it's just, we're just coworkers. We're just trying to perform for our UFC organization. And, Dotson, he's a nice guy. Like I said, I don't have a problem with people who like to act cheesy and act like a fool, I guess you can say, if that's how everybody perceives it. And, as long as they're not breaking the law and, messing with my livelihood and not messing with my house, I care less what he does.
Well, and I think that's a great way of putting it, your coworkers. I explained to everybody when within the word of MMA is the last one in art, and I tell everybody it's really come full circle now. But in the old days, everybody thought it was, just human cockfighting, guys, bar fighting kind of stuff. It really is an art. Majority of everybody, when they're done with the fight, they hug each other, congratulate each other. A number of guys will turn around and go into training camps together afterwards. I like that part of the sport, and it sounds like you got a great appreciation of that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to.
You know what? This has been a blast. We got to see you in Vegas a couple weekends ago, and I actually got to enjoy your company at an event I did in Vegas a while back ago at McFadden. So nice to have you on the phone. Nice to have you with the listeners. I really appreciate your time, and we're excited for your upcoming title defense.
Absolutely, man. I'll let you know, and then maybe we can get together again.
I would love it. Have a great day, and I wish you nothing but the best.
You do the same. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, pal. Bye-bye. All right, Mighty Mouse, Demetrious Johnson, brought to you by UFC Gyms. Train